Welcome to the King and Chapman Show. It is Tuesday, April 30th. I am Brent Chapman, and we are here with the original Fab One, Jimmy King. Jimmy, what's up, man?
What's up, B? What's going on today? Happy Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday, Jimmy, and I am excited. Can you believe? I'm just going to jump right into it. Can you believe? So that everyone knows, they may already. Jimmy lived in Detroit for a long time. Obviously, went to the school, University of Michigan. Probably most people don't know or care, but I am also. I went to high school in the Detroit area. Graduated, got my MBA from Oakland University, Jimmy. They were raising the roof. Oakland, yes.
Oaktown,
And we are both proud.
357.
We are both proud of Detroit.
That's right.
Why are we proud of Detroit, Jimmy?
One, like you mentioned, I've been there probably the longest time in my life. So I'm originally from South Bend, Indiana. That's my Midwest ties. I moved to Texas when I was younger. That's my Texas ties. But when I went to the University of Michigan, I ended up staying in Michigan and eventually in Detroit. So I've been there for 30 plus years. And that is why I have an affinity for the great city of Detroit.
Jimmy, 775,000 people made it to look at that picture, Jimmy.
Way to represent Detroit.
Detroit
in
what?
the house. Look at it. Hey, anytime Detroit gets an opportunity to show who they are, they show up and show out. That's what I love about Detroit. That's why I stayed there for so long. That's why I raised my kids there. That it's a beautiful city. They love their sports. They have knowledge of the football team, basketball team, hockey, and baseball. They're one of the greatest sports towns in the world.
I am not at all surprised that Detroit showed out. When they opened Ford Field many years ago, they had the Super Bowl there. And I think that was like 2006, to sometime in that area, right?
Mhm.
I think it was the Jerome Bettis Super
Yep.
Bowl that he won. They showed out for that. The city was hopping. It was awesome. They did a great job. They did another great job. I'm thankful that the NFL gave the city of Detroit an opportunity to show what they can do. It was awesome. They had everyone there, and I'm proud that it was that great, and I'm sure you are too, Jimmy.
It was awesome. The weather was great. Didn't have any incidents. The people looked good. The stage looked good. The city looked good aesthetically. It was beautiful. I wish I could have been there, but I was also, I had a good reason not to be there. My son went on a recruiting visit to
Awesome.
South Carolina State. My son and my
Awesome.
nephew. So that was the reason why I wasn't there. But
You weren't there, but you were there in
in
spirit.
spirit, no doubt.
Now, Jimmy, I bet if you would have walked on the stage and given a pick, you would have got cheered. The governor walked on the stage and got booed. I mean, that was the loudest boos of the whole weekend. But other than that, Detroit showed out. They were positive, they were encouraging, and I think it was really great. And speaking about great stories, right, with the draft, is Detroit did a great job hosting. And then at the end of the draft, like if you think about it, there's like what, a few hundred players are actually drafted.
Mhm.
But then after the draft is when the real opportunities happen, and the players that weren't drafted get to become undrafted free agents in a lot of cases. So the teams are signing 15 to 20 players each, where they only draft 6 or 7. So they're getting like the real opportunity, if you're in the draft, is actually after the draft. So my question for you, Jimmy, now I know basketball's a lot different. It's much different. There's less players. The top guys go in the first round and early second round. But my question for you is, and you can hit the next topic there, Nate. We're on the undrafted free agents. Would you rather be drafted in the 7th round by a team, or be undrafted and be able to pick your team?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a very good question. Now, as a player, coming out of college that has a dream of being drafted and maybe not knowing as much about the business of free agency, I probably will want to be drafted. However, knowing what I know now, I definitely will want to be a free agent because you get to choose the best opportunity or
That's right.
that you feel fits you and works for you. And mutually, obviously, if they want to bring you in, then they feel like you can help the team or fill a void or a need. Getting drafted is similar, where they're drafting you because you think they're filling a need, or you may be the best player available late round and or at the end of the rounds in the seventh round. But just having a dream to play in the NFL, to play professionally, is ultimately the goal for players. So that's a tough one. I think that getting drafted is the dream, but if you're going late or if you're a seventh round in the NFL, I think being a free agent is better because you get to choose where you get to
Well,
go.
especially depending what position you're in. Well, pretty much any position, depending on where you're going, right? If you're
From the need of the
probably
team,
a
definitely.
if you're Tua Tagovailoa's brother
Yeah.
who played at Maryland, he didn't get drafted and
Mm-hmm.
he picked the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks is a good opportunity for a
Right.
quarterback to potentially be the backup even. I mean, he could come in and be
Absolutely.
the backup or third string, and then eventually maybe a starter. There's an open situation there. There's
The
no
goal
Josh
is,
Allen, there's no Patrick Mahomes. But if you get drafted by the Chiefs, bro, you ain't gonna play.
and the goal is to get on the
Is to
first goal is to
play.
make the
Yeah.
squad.
So
Is
so
to
I
make the
think
squad.
I
And
think the only downside is could you maybe a team doesn't want you. But the truth is, if you were going to be drafted, you're going to be one of the, 15 or 20 player. I mean, 20 times 30. I mean, that's 600 players get picked up as undrafted free agents.
mhm,
You get to kind of pick the situation, three or four teams might offer to you. And
mhm,
by the way, some of these guys get better deals. Sam Hartman, the quarterback for Notre Dame, got 250,000 guaranteed to go to the Commanders. So he got better money than if he would have gone in the 6th or 7th round.
right,
So
right.
it works
So
out.
again, it's
Yeah,
opportunity and
that's right.
need, opportunity and need, and falling in the right spot. A lot of times, guys who are talented don't end up in the right spot, and then you'll see them get cut by a team and then go to another team and look like all pro players. So it's a crapshoot, really. You just don't know until you get into the situation, and you just hope that everybody do their due diligence so you have less issues in making a transition. But
Now
it's
in
not
the
foolproof.
Now in the 7th round, with the first pick in the 7th round, the Bills picked Travis Clayton from the International Pathway Program. So this allows athletes from other sports across the world to come into to be in the NFL draft. He is a former 8th tier rugby star. I don't know what that means. 8th tier. I really have no idea. I'll have to Google that. And he is a 6'7" athlete. And Jimmy, he ran the 40 in the fastest time that an offensive lineman has ran the 40 in the past 15 years.
Hey, these some super athletes that we're seeing come into the league. I mean, the guy's huge.
You're
But
going to teach him how to play offensive tackle. And this already happened a few years ago. The Eagles picked a former rugby player and put him at offensive tackle. And
footwork,
now he's one of the best OTs in the league.
footwork, right? You get them to
That's
learn
right.
footwork and
Hands.
technique, and you could get a guy to learn pretty quickly or exponentially. You
So,
could
Jimmy,
get a guy to do to fill that void for you.
So, Jimmy, moving from undrafted free agents to the last guy drafted, Mr. Irrelevant. His name is Jalen Key. He was the final pick of the draft from the New York Jets. He was at Alabama and this is going to laugh. Please put it back on Jimmy, Nate. I want to see Jimmy's face when I say this. Jimmy, he played his final year at Alabama, and his first 5 years in college football at UAB.
Well,
Stu
thank God
played
that they have these
six,
great opportunities.
Stu played 6 years of college football.
He's a professional college player.
There is
Hey,
a good
take
chance
advantage of the
that his college
opportunities.
career is
Yeah,
6 times
with
longer
COVID
than his
now.
pro career.
Yeah, with COVID allowing the players to get 2 extra years, take full advantage of it. I don't fault him at all. I think it's a great opportunity. So be it.
No, we're being a little funny up there. Will 2024 Mr. Irrelevant ever be relevant? Here's what I think. I think Alabama's a legit university. And I think that if you're a starter at Alabama with 60 tackles, you're a pretty good football player,
Absolutely.
which means you might have a chance, whether that's on special teams or in a role as a second guy early on. You're going to get your shot to play, and you've played big time football. And this kid's like 35 years old already.
You just gotta get the opportunity.
Yeah, he's
And he's
already
and
got.
he's getting the opportunity, whether you're the
That's
first
right.
pick or mystery relevant. And I have something to say about that too. So his name is Jalen Key, which actually sounds like Jalen King,
Oh, it
which is the
does.
name of my son.
That's
And
right.
that's relevant too, because Jalen Rose, who's one of my former teammates, his father, Jimmy Walker, was a former Mr. Irrelevant.
Really?
He was the
I
number
did
one pick in the draft, in the NBA draft, but he was also the last pick in the NFL the same year.
I
So
did not know that. That is
so
awesome.
that's some trivia for you young guys out there. But also too, to talk about Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, who just led the San Francisco 49ers to
The Super
the
Bowl.
Super Bowl,
Right.
is also named
Mis-
lovingly Mr. Irrelevant. So when the opportunity comes, you just got to be ready and prepared, and
Doesn't matter if you're
you could do
last.
some things. Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
right. Doesn't matter if you're last or first or somewhere in between, or even if you're an undrafted free agent. You get into camp, you've got your
Man,
shot, bro. You better
do
take
your
it.
thing.
I
Yeah,
got to
do
tell
your
you this though, Jimmy. I didn't know this. The recipient of Irrelevant Week over the summer gets a trip to Disneyland, a trophy presentation, and much more. So this is like an award to be Mr. Irrelevant. That's pretty cool.
That's
Brock
cool.
Purdy got all that, and then he got to go to the Super Bowl. So you
Yeah.
never know.
No other
Uh,
players getting that treatment.
Now, Jimmy, we are. I love football. I know you love football, but we're winding down on football talk. It's been a lot of football talk with the NFL draft, but we are right at the end of the first round. The series in the NBA playoffs are starting to heat up, and we have a great. Oh, you see this, Jimmy? I got it on a Pacers jersey, a Pacers
My
shirt.
home state.
I'm not a Pacers fan by any means. This is something that everyone needs to know watching. If you send me a t-shirt, I will wear it on the show. I got thousands of t-shirts and I'll wear whatever as long as it's sports related. So I'm wearing the Pacers because we're talking Pacers today. Jimmy, the Pacers evened up this. Oh no, I'm sorry. The Pacers have gone 3-1 against the Bucks, and the Bucks were without Giannis and Damian Lillard. Uh, do they have a chance? And does it actually matter that they beat the Bucks without Lillard? And are they going to finish this series, or can the Bucks come back?
Well, I know if Giannis doesn't come back and Dame is injured as well, and they try to push him back, or hopefully he comes back and he's still a little hobbled, they're in trouble. It's too tall of an order for Middleton to handle by itself. I know Portis is pretty good. They got some other supporting cast there, but um, when you're missing your two main leaders, and particularly on the offensive end and even on the defensive end, it's a tall order to make up. And I don't think the Bucks have enough firepower to withstand And coming back from 3-1, even if they had Giannis, um, and Dame Dollar, it's an uphill battle, and historically we haven't seen it happen too many times. So I think it's a wrap.
I just think the Pacers incredibly lucked out. They got totally smoked in that first game. They
Yes.
looked like they shouldn't even be in this series. And they got the injury genie came out and blessed them,
Yeah.
bro, because it doesn't matter that Giannis does beating them matter. I mean, no, because
No.
without you didn't really win, bro. You got
Yeah.
Chris Middleton. He's a good player, but he's the third best player on the team.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know if they'll play. If they play, I think the Pacers are in trouble. If they play and they're like 75% healthy, I think they can come back from 3-1.
Absolutely. I agree.
But
I
it only takes when you're down 3-1, it only takes one game for Halliburton and those guys to kind of explode, and then they can get it back. So
Yeah, it's a tall order. It's tough. It's going to be fun to watch and see how guys step up into that role. And the flip side to that is it doesn't matter just because it's the playoffs that guys, this is an opportunity for players behind Dame, players behind Giannis to show why they're professional players and why they're valuable to the team. So hopefully you get a guy to step up and at least be competitive and make the games competitive and are not blown out. But guys of the caliber of Giannis, obviously, and Dame are two special players that you just can't it's hard to make up.
now moving along to another team that's down 3-1 with a great player. I'm shocked by this. And I was talking to someone about this the other day, Jimmy. Joel Embiid is a great player. I watch him play and I'm like, how can anyone stop this human being? I mean, this guy is like, it looks like Andre the Giant is out there, but he runs and he can shoot and he's just amazing. And I'm like, how can anyone stop him? And the person I was talking to was like, well, Brent, they had a lot of injuries early in the season. That's why they're the 7 seed. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, this should
Hmm.
set up a great run. They get healthy. They can, but the Knicks are, that I thought the Knicks would be the Knicks, which is like
Hmm.
choke city, but
Hmm.
you know, that's not what's happening. The Knicks are now up 3-1. Does Embiid and do the Sixers have anything left, and can they come back in this series? Do you think they'll come back and win the series, or is this thing a wrap?
I think it's a wrap. I think they do have enough to get back. I mean, earlier in the season, prior to the injuries, they were a top three team in the Eastern Conference, and they hit a hard slide when Embiid went down. With him coming back, again, it's the same thing that I was saying about Giannis and Dame. You just don't know to the level that they are going to be able to produce. And coming back early, they may get re-injured or get injured even further. It's just a tough deal. So I think the 76ers are going to find themselves fishing in a couple of days, and uh, and hopefully they'll get better over in the off season. They'll lick their wounds and get healthy.
But yeah, it's a shame because you have an MVP candidate from last year, and they just do not look good. I really thought that they would have an opportunity, but I agree with you. I think they're done. I think Brunson is just incredible this season, and the Knicks are gonna move on to the next round. Now moving on to or my team where I'm at right now, right? Look, dude, Buffalo doesn't have a basketball team. And so, I have attached myself to the hometown team. And I grew up in Detroit, so I'm a Pistons fan. Not so great right now. Don't worry, when they come back around, I'll be wearing the red and blue.
No
But
doubt.
right now, I'm all on the Mavericks bandwagon, and I love Luca and I love Kyrie. And they were up 2-1 and they had a shot yesterday and then they got down 31 points. And I'm like, how broke can you get down 31 points? And I'm watching with my sons and my wife, and slowly it's 25, and then it's 20, and then it's 15, and then it's 8. And all of a sudden, they're leading the game with like a
Yes.
couple minutes left. Now, they
Yes.
didn't get it done, but Kyrie had 40 points. My question for you is, what does the impact of something like that have on a team? They were down 31 points. They were amassing the greatest comeback. They took the lead. They didn't get it done. James Harden stepped up, scored 15 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. But what does that have? Is that positive for the Mavericks? Meaning, okay, they got the momentum back, or is that kind of like, man, we couldn't come back and now they're kind of defeated going into game 5, which goes back to LA? What do you think that 31-point comeback and the end result of losing has on the series and on the Mavericks?
I think it's a great confidence builder. Not that they
Okay.
need it, but I think that, you know, when you see things are going well, and obviously not when you're down 31, but oftentimes we'll see players and teams quit or not give their all, or just kind of mail it in. And you didn't get that with the Mavericks, particularly with Kyrie and leading the team. And these are professional athletes that got a lot of pride. They're not trying to get blown out, particularly in the playoffs and at home. So it's it's I think when that happens to you, and you're able to claw your way back after a 31-point deficit, the mentality is that next game, let's go up 30, and or let's build a lead so that we can play the way we know we can, and that'll ensure us a victory. But it's day to day, it's game to game. That's why it's hard to predict and call.
So it shifts back to LA, series tied. They have home field advantage. So we'll see how this turns out. This was meant to be one of the toughest series, sort of the one
Absolutely.
that everyone thought would be great. I obviously am hoping that they can pull it together and rebound in game 5. We'll obviously talk about that on our show Thursday. Hopefully, we're celebrating a 3-2 lead for the Mavericks. Moving along to our next topic, I want to talk about the UFL a little bit. What is the United Football League, and should you be watching? So, Jimmy, the United Football League is a combination of 2 spring football leagues that played last year, the USFL and the XFL. The XFL was the old Vince McMahon WWE league from 2000 that got bought by The Rock and then became the XFL 2.0. And COVID kind of killed both those leagues, but
Mhm.
they've now come back and they've combined. And they have teams from both leagues, and it's a pretty good product. They've got some unique rules. There's a 3-point play on an extra point. You, instead of an onside kick, you go for 4th and 15, and if you get it, you get the ball. It's kind of cool. There's the modified kickoff, which the NFL is now taking. So it's a really it's not NFL players. It's the guys that are the tier down, but they're playing to compete. And one other thing I'll say is the kicker, his name is Jake Bates for the Michigan Panthers. In the first game of the year, he hit a 64-yard field goal to win the game. That would be an NFL record, right? And then the next game, he hit a 63-yard field goal.
I
So
watched
he's
both of those
already
games.
getting noticed. He's going to get an NFL contract. He's going to be playing in the league next year, which is great for him. But tell me, what do you think about the UFL? Have you watched it? Do you think people should watching it? Do you think these spring leagues are good? These minor leagues are good for the sport? What do you think?
Absolutely. I think they're great opportunities for guys who are looking to get into the NFL to get extra exposure and also collect a check while they're doing it.
That's right.
It's you're still playing against other professionals, guys who may have also played in the league and who may been demoted and looking to get back into the league. So you got some very high level talent there. And speaking of the kicker, and hitting those two record breaking kicks. I watched those games. Ironically, I
Oh, really?
watched the first game because I wanted to see what the product was,
I like it.
and it was a Michigan team, so I watched that game. And when he kicked that field goal, I was like, "No way!" And then I watched the next week to see, just to
And he did it again.
because it was good, right? And he ended up doing it again. So kudos to him, and kudos to the league because I think it's a great product. Like I said, I watched the first two games of the season, and they were great games. You got guys kicking
NFL, Jimmy.
seventy-yard
Yeah.
field goals, man. That's special.
Jimmy, I'm under the assumption the NFL is better off with leagues like this.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
gains interest from the fans because
yes,
if you're watching these I mean, some of these stadiums, Seattle has, or St. Louis, who lost their NFL team, had 40,000 fans coming to these games. I mean, that's
so
a big deal, right? And so I
right,
think
supply and demand, right? I
yeah,
mean, if
that's
if
right.
if it and if fans aren't coming to the games, then I mean, there's your answer. You don't really have a
I don't know
sustainable
though,
product.
dude. I think that as a development program for the NFL, I think it's fantastic. And I think it gets fans engaged and they can watch these guys. And like now we know this Jake Bates. And
Hmm.
so when he's in the NFL, we're gonna be like, yeah, I watched him playing spring football. You know, it's kind
Hmm.
of what used to happen in the day with the European League, the
Yeah.
NFL Europe, where Kurt Warner played over there and then
Yep.
he came and played here and Adam Vinatieri. And so I think it's great for the league. I think it's fantastic for the players. I've talked to, but I'm friends with some NFL coaches, and they've told me, this is a really great opportunity for
Hmm.
younger coaches. See, that's something that
Hmm.
goes missed,
Hmm.
right? There's younger
Hmm.
coaches that want a spot to coach too, and they don't get an opportunity. This is an opportunity for them to it opens up 10 15 coaching spots per teams where coaches can show their stuff and then be able
Absolutely.
to have some experience to go to the NFL. So it's really great across the board.
Absolutely. Even
Players,
beyond that, even beyond that, even in administration,
that's
it's the
right.
same. I mean, front
Drafting,
office. You
that's
you
right.
you though they get opportunities to move up as well, or and to gain experience.
So, Jimmy, moving along to our last topic, which is tied into the UFL. Please show that picture. Is our guy, The Rock. He owns the UFL, but he also decided after 11 years to come back and wrestle at WrestleMania. He Now here's the thing. He also owns TKO, which just
Mhm,
bought WWE. So
mhm.
not only does he own the UFL, he also owns the WWE now. And he
Hey,
said, I want to be the main event at WrestleMania. So he
hey,
came back.
shout out to entrepreneurship. Like,
Yeah. And he got,
shout
but
out to
Jimmy,
big bosses who love their own product, right?
that's
He's
right.
like Elon Musk in the sports world. That's all.
That's right. Here's what happened though, Jimmy. He showed up and said, I'm going to fight for the championship at WrestleMania. And he got booed. So everyone thought it was Rock. So he turned heel. And instead, he wasn't in the main event. He got to fight. Put that picture back up with his cousin. His cousin has been champion for like 4 years straight. It's like
Uh-huh.
one of the longest reigns. That's his name is Roman Reigns. That's not his real
Mhm,
name. It's Joseph Latulii or something, right? But that's his
mhm,
cousin. Now,
mhm,
here's what I want to ask you, Jimmy. The
mhm.
Rock, you can't see it in that picture, but he's bigger than his cousin. He
Okay.
is built. And I watched that match, and that guy runs. Are you impressed with 51-year-old Rock? Now, Jimmy, I'm
Absolutely.
not going to tell the viewers how old you are, but I want you to look at The Rock and I want you to say, holy moly, that dude's 51 years old.
Hey, one thing I can say is when you reach that 50 mark and you have the genes to look like The Rock, kudos to him because he
He
looks
moves.
fantastic.
He's
Whatever
doing
regimen he's
it.
doing, whatever he's eating, the sleep regimen. I don't know if he got one of those hyperbolic chambers or whatever. He needs to put it in a bottle and sell it to the rest of us so we can get out there and have big
Jimmy,
chest and arms and
Jimmy, you could
and
put side
glow.
by side a match. You could put side by side a match from 15 years ago and this match from this year,
And he looks
and
the same. Yeah, he looks fantastic.
he's
He
doing
looks
all the moves, and he's doing this, and he
That's
looks.
why he said he's coming back. And the fans will probably be like, how dare you be gone for 11 years and come back looking the way you do? That's why they booed him.
He was incredible. And then, dude, he even for that match, you know, when he claims on the shows he's wearing his full gear, he goes for that match, he was wearing those little
Oh, yeah.
wrestling. Yeah, look at those things. Look at that. You
You
wouldn't catch
know,
me
yeah,
dead
the
in a
nut
pair of
huggers.
those.
That's what we called them. We called those nut huggers. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
So that's not comfortable. That's
How
why I
many
spend
51-year-old men are going to throw those on? Not very many.
when you're confident in your body and you look like the Rock, that's how you could do it.
See, Jimmy, this is important. We just don't talk about football and basketball. We
Of
talk
course.
about the UFL. We talk about
Right.
wrestling. We got
We're
the
well
Rock
versed
on.
over here,
We'll
baby.
talk about hockey. We'll talk about tennis. We'll talk about golf.
Golf.
So, Jimmy, this is the end of the show. Thank you. Do you have any final thoughts? What are your final thoughts today, Jimmy?
That if you want to wear Speedos, you must look like the Rock.
All right, so we won't see Jimmy in the in the wrestling shorts anytime soon.
Hey, they got a section for men and Lululemon. I don't know. I mean, don't they sell tights?
They do. I think they do. I'd like to wrap up by saying, Jimmy, I'm just I feel really good about Detroit and what they were able to do hosting the NFL draft. I just think that's an awesome testament. You know, some of these Midwest Rust Belt cities, especially with the way the economy is today, they get a bad rap. They really do. And Detroit is good people, hard work in town, and they deserve wins. And I'm glad their football team is playing well. I'm glad their city rallied around and had a great event. And these are the things that we should celebrate in the sports world as
True
these
indeed.
positive moments. And I think it's really awesome.
Amen.
And I know you feel the same way.
Amen, my brother. Perfectly.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks everyone for watching. And we will be back Thursday. Peace.
Peace.